As you guys can see, teaching a horse to stand still is a very important thing. In this video, we're going to see if we can help a new training horse, Rosie, get better at standing still. Rosie just recently came in for training, and she's a nice horse, has some good groundwork going, that sort of thing. But innately, it's much easier for her to move her feet than to stand still. And so when we get riding her, what I don't want to do is be pulling on her all the time, trying to make her stand still. That's when you can create a lot of bad habits with the horse flipping their nose up and being unhappy about having the bit in their mouth and things like that. And so what I want to do with her is set up some scenarios on the ground where I am releasing her to the standstill. If she can find relief standing still on the ground, it's going to make it a lot easier under saddle. So that's what we're going to work on in this video. So we're here in my playground where we have lots of obstacles, and obstacles create opportunities for horses to feel a little bit squeezed, and that makes them want to move their feet. And so what we're going to do is practice either getting her to stand still on an obstacle or getting her to go through an obstacle and then settle on the other side. So that's what we're going to kind of start the session off with. And now we got the cat right in the way here. All right, come on, son. Get out of the way. So now she ran into the halter a little bit on the opposite side. So when you're teaching a horse to stand still, it's not about making them stand still. It's about getting her to choose to stand still. She made a better choice that time. So the first time she just went to think about hustling over it. And then I bumped the halter just a little bit when she got to the other side, and now she's working on standing still. Now, I've actually been doing this the past couple of days with her before it kind of dawned on me that you guys might be interested in watching this. So she should be kind of okay with a lot of these things. And with a horse like this, I'm always going to encourage her to just take her time and pick her way through things and not be in a hurry. And let's check her out, make sure she can do this both ways. Good girl. And then when she stands still, I turn away from her, I relax, take the kind of energy down, and help her find relief standing still. Horsemanship is a journey, not a destination. And if you're wanting to have somebody help be your guide on your horsemanship journey, somebody that can help you work through some of those trouble spots or help you from plateauing, I offer that through my Patreon page. So I have my whole program on there. There's a lot of great content that jumps into detailed training techniques, as well as you can ask me questions or get video coaching. So make sure you check out my Patreon page. I'll leave a link in the description below. Let's get back to the video. So the general idea here is I don't want to make her stand still or make her slow down. I want her to choose to rate her speed. And so what's really important is that I don't give her too big of a puzzle where she gets real emotional because I have her running around either too fast or too long of a rope or too big of a space, something like that. Okay? Whatever it is that you want the horse to do, it's easy for the horse to feel like it's a trap and that you're making them do that. I want her to feel like it's her idea. So one of the key things, like here she hustled through that more, and so I put pressure on her at the other side of it. In other words, she trotted through the poles. I didn't ask her to trot. So that was an element of kind of taking over and taking off. And so now I want her to just stand there and settle, okay? And then we'll present it to her again. And that was better. See, she's looking at the logs. She's picking her way through it. She's being more thoughtful. That's how I want her to go through them. And then we'll softly ask her to yield her hindquarters on the other side. What's tempting, I think, for a lot of people with a horse like this, again, put pressure on the other side of the logs, okay? What's tempting is to really try to control their steps and control their movement and do a lot of like backing up. And that's not really what she needs. She needs to control her emotional fitness a little bit more. Like as you could see when I went to halter her, she was standing still. There we go. So that was much better. And you can see again, that was her idea. So that was very nice. When she was, when we approached her in her pen, she was just standing there doing nothing. And so a lot of people think, oh, this horse has a big motor, or they just want to go. They just want to run around. But if you think about it, what was that horse doing before you haltered him up? If you think about it, a lot of the horses were standing still, relaxing. They weren't, they were not always running around. Not that some horses don't like running around. They do. But a lot of times people kind of have a little bit of a cop-out for having a horse that's emotional by just saying they have a big motor, or they which would indicate, oh, you just need to let them run around, and let that be okay. And again, I'm not trying to say that it's wrong to move their feet or anything like that. I'm just trying to say that the more you can help a horse feel comfortable with what you're asking them to do, that horse could feel as settled as it could be for that individual. Again, she went to hustle there a little bit, so I put pressure on her on this side. And again, I just kind of looked at her and just kind of stepped towards her. I didn't have to make a big move there. That's what I want to see. Just take her time, work her way through it. Anytime she rushes, I'm not pressuring her in the squeeze. I'm putting pressure on the other side of it, that turn and face move. Good. I felt like she tried that time. The other thing is she turned and faced, and she never took the slack out of the rope. And now she's having a little lick and chew, feeling comfortable there. So again, I'm going to keep moving on. For me, this is not about the particular obstacles and doing them perfectly. This is about setting up scenarios for her to act like a partner and find relief, relaxing through them. Again, very good. I don't want her to jump it. I want her to walk through it, just like that. Got to pick up your feet all the way there. Okay, now this one's going to be a tough one. It's a little bit of a breezy day out here. So let's go through the cowboy curtain here. You can see her wanting to kind of push through her own threshold. So right there, she went to kind of run through it on her own, and I never said go, right? So I'm gonna pull her up there and say, actually, you're gonna wait. Because a horse with her personality, they're gonna be inclined to push through their own thresholds. So a horse like this that finds it easy to move her feet, they're gonna be tempted to push through their own thresholds. And maybe you've seen a situation where you're trying to ride a horse maybe across like a little tiny creek, and the horse gets down there and kind of winds up and then just launches over it. That's a horse that's pushing through its own threshold. So we, as the leader, need to set that horse up for success and interrupt it before they get going. Because once they learn to explode through things, it can become a bad habit that they are really always going to go to. So what I'm doing is I'm just preparing her with some of these obstacles and say, hey, stop, think about it. I'm not going to push you through this. We're just going to look at it. We're going to try, and we're going to try to do it relaxed. Now, we're not always going to get it right. There's going to be times where they go to rush through it, but that one was much better than the first time. And she even stopped and is eating grass, so that's perfect. And again, I've been doing this throughout the week here, and she's starting to understand the theme. So I wish it was the first time that you guys got to see, but I wasn't quite ready for filming that day. Now there's the hustle. So again, I'm going to pressure her on that side and just make a little bit bigger move. So again, the pressure is just me kind of coming out of neutral. I didn't have to, use the stick or pull on the halter or anything like that. Again, put a little bit of pressure on her over there. Oh no, that corn cob touched your leg. Now, another thing you could do, if it becomes a habit where they start to rush through things, right there I just checked her and I just stopped and I said, no, you just need to stop. Now, I didn't make her stop. She could have pushed through my stick, but I kind of presented her with an opportunity there to slow down and think about it. Good. So she's now, this time she's being a little more thoughtful about how she's going through there. She didn't just kind of wind up and go. And I would rather her, even though it took her longer to go through, I would rather her cross it thoughtfully like that than just, you know, kind of powering through it. So one of the things that I've just kind of found over my career is that just, you know, moving a horse's feet and just trying to tire them out, that doesn't really work so good. Finding ways to get them to be comfortable and to think through pressure is kind of the ideal. And these obstacles are just great tools for this. You need to be able to do this in an arena without obstacles as well. Very good. Cool. So that's looking pretty good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to head out to the arena and see if we can find some situations to help her find a standstill in there. All right. So now we're going to test her in this arena here with a little more space. And you can see it's like she just does a lot of that extra little kind of fidgeting around stuff. Now what you see there is when I go to touch her with this, she understands that that means stand still. Okay? So what I'm going to practice doing is kind of bringing her life up. And I just want, I don't want her to go faster because I'm waving the flag. I want her to learn to ignore the noise a little bit. And this flag kind of simulates energy that comes up, you know, and that could be a windy day, it could be the dogs come running in, could be another horse in the arena starts getting wound up. There's a lot of different things that your horses could feed off of, a lot of other noise distractions that get them amped up. And so what I want to do is I don't want to wait for something like that to just happen to me. I want to be prepared for those things. So you can see now I'll rub her to a standstill with it. So I worked the flag, got it noisy, then I brought my life down. And so I'm teaching her when I'm calm, she can be calm. So even though the flag was noisy, my energy is calm. So that's what I'm trying to get her in tune with. And everybody would love for their horse to do this, where when you're calm, they're calm. But the truth is they don't come out of the box this way. You have to deliberately practice setting them up in situations that brings their life up and then practice bringing it back down. Super. She's getting the hang of that pretty good.